I stared at my reflection in the restaurant's bathroom mirror, smoothing down my blazer for the 10th time. The familiar knot in my stomach tightened as I checked my phone. 6:58 p.m. In 2 minutes, I'd walk out there and play my role one last time. The dutiful daughter at her parents' 35th anniversary dinner. My name is Isabel, and tonight, everything changes. Izzy, there you are. My mother's sugary voice carried across the upscale dining room as I emerged. She air-kissed my cheek, her designer perfume overwhelming. We were starting to worry. Sorry, work call? The lie slipped out easily after years of practice. I took my seat at the round table, directly across from my younger brother Kingsley, who barely glanced up from his phone. Always working? My father Gerald commented, swirling his whiskey. Though I suppose someone has to keep the family afloat. He laughed, but the joke landed like a stone in my chest. 10 years of emergency loans and temporary support flashed through my mind. Speaking of work, my mother Nicole chirped, reaching for her oversized purse. We have exciting news. I caught Kingsley's smirk and felt my pulse quicken. Here it comes. Your father and I have found the most gorgeous villa in Palm Springs, she continued, pulling out a glossy brochure. It's perfect for our retirement. The country club membership alone. Mum, I interrupted gently, didn't the last investment property? This is different, Gerald cut in, his tone sharpening. We've done all the math. With your help on the mortgage, my help. Just as a co-signer, darling, Nicole soothed, sliding papers across the table. Your credit score is so much better than ours since that unfortunate business with Kingsley's startup, which would have worked if the market hadn't crashed, Kingsley defended, finally looking up. Not all of us want to be corporate drones forever, sis. Some of us have vision. Vision, right. Vision that had cost me nearly 6 figures in investments over the years. The payments would be manageable, Gerald pressed, especially with your promotion. You did get that promotion you mentioned, right? I hadn't mentioned any promotion, but they never really listened anyway. The bank just needs a stable co-signer, Nicole added. You won't have to pay anything. It's just a formality. I watched them all. My mother's practiced smile, my father's expectant stare, Kingsley's barely concealed disdain. How many times had I sat at tables like this, swallowing my protests along with overpriced wine? Your sister's loaded, Kingsley scoffed. All she does is work and save. It's not like she has anything else going on. Kings, my mother warned, but her rebuke was half-hearted. What? It's true. When's the last time you even went on a date? You're not getting younger, you know. I felt a calm settling over me, different from my usual anxious resignation. I reached for my own bag, not for a pen to sign their papers, but for something else entirely. Actually, I said, my voice steady, I brought something better. Better than the villa. My mother's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Much better. I pulled out my own folder, crisp and white. I've been doing some planning of my own. Planning? My father's eyes narrowed. What kind of planning? I laid the folder on the table, right next to their mortgage papers. The kind that changes everything. Oh, please. Kingsley rolled his eyes. Is this another one of your budgeting lectures? No, I smiled, and for the first time in years it reached my eyes. This is my goodbye present. The word goodbye hung in the air like smoke. My mother's face froze. My father's hand tightened around his glass. And Kingsley? Kingsley finally looked worried. What do you mean, goodbye? Nicole's voice had lost its sugar. I opened the folder slowly, savouring the moment. I think it's time we had a different kind of family discussion. One about receipts, responsibilities, and retirement. Just not yours. Isabel, my father warned. But I was done with warnings. Actually, I said, pulling out the first document, I brought enough copies for everyone. Shall we begin? 6 months earlier, I sat in my apartment creating the spreadsheet that would change everything. Every loan, every emergency transfer, every guilt-driven check, all meticulously documented with dates, amounts, and broken promises. The total made me sick. $287,132. Now watching their faces, as I distributed the papers, that nausea turned to something else. Something like power. What is this? my father demanded, scanning the first page. That's a complete financial history of our family's last decade, I said, keeping my voice level. Every penny I've given you, every investment in Kingsley's ventures, every credit card I helped pay off. This is ridiculous, Kingsley sputtered, but his face had gone pale. Page 2 is particularly interesting, I continued. It shows all the repayments I was promised. Notice how empty that column is? My mother's hands trembled as she flipped pages. Darling, families help each other. We never meant... Page 3, I cut in, is a notarized final family financial settlement agreement. It releases me from any future financial obligations to any of you. Forever. The restaurant's ambient music seemed to fade away as my words sank in. A waiter approached our table, saw our faces, and wisely retreated. You can't be serious, my father's voice rose. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me? I laughed, surprising myself with how bitter it sounded. Like using my college fund for Kingsley's gap year, or guilt-tripping me into paying for Mum's luxury cruise when I couldn't even afford therapy. That cruise was for our anniversary, my mother protested. Which anniversary? The first one or the second one? Kingsley leaned forward, his charm switching on like a light. Come on, sis. We're family. You can't just... Page 4, I interrupted, pulling out the final document. This one's my favourite. The glossy photos showed rolling hills, a rustic farmhouse, and fields stretching to the horizon. My mother's eyes widened as she recognised the real estate company's letterhead. An organic farm? She whispered. In Portugal? My dream, I said quietly. The one you all laughed at. The one I was too responsible to pursue. Well, guess what? I bought it. Last week. Cash. You what? Kingsley slammed his hand on the table. You've been holding out on us? No, I corrected him. I've been saving, planning, living below my means, while you all lived above yours. And now I'm done. My father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. You ungrateful little... I wouldn't finish that sentence, I advised. The agreement's already filed with my lawyer. One signature from each of you, and this ends quietly. Make a scene, and we can discuss this in court. With records, publicly. You'd shame your own family, my mother hissed. You mean like you shamed me at Christmas when I couldn't afford to host? Or like Kingsley shames me every time he calls my life boring while living off my boring money? Silence fell. Heavy. Complete. Sign, I said, sliding pens across the table. Or don't. But either way, I'm done being the family ATM. My father grabbed a pen first, his signature angry and sharp. My mother followed, tears streaming down her face. Kingsley just sat there, staring at me like he'd never seen me before. Your turn, little brother. His pen scratched across the paper. You'll regret this, he muttered. No, I stood up, gathering the signed documents. I really won't. I turned to leave, my heart pounding, but my steps steady. Behind me, I heard my mother's sob, my father's curse, and the scrape of Kingsley's chair. But another sound made me pause. Quick footsteps following me to the parking lot. Isabel, wait! I turned to see Hayley, Kingsley's on-again, off-again girlfriend, hurrying after me. Her face was flushed, and she kept glancing back at the restaurant. What is it, Hayley? She wrung her hands, looking torn. There's something you should know about Kingsley, something he hoped you'd never find out. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? It's about your inheritance, she whispered. The joint account from your grandmother, he did something terrible. I stood there in the cool night air, watching my breath cloud in front of me, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And as Hayley started talking, I realized my revenge was about to get much, much bigger than I'd planned. He forged your signature, Hayley said, her words tumbling out in the parking lot darkness. 2 years ago, when I was helping him organize some paperwork, I found documents. He'd liquidated most of your share of the inheritance, the part you never touched because you thought it was lost in that market crash. My hands gripped my car keys so tight, they left marks in my palm. How much? Almost 200,000. Hayley wrapped her arms around herself. He used your father's old family lawyer to process it, the same one who handled the estate transition. The world tilted sideways. I leaned against my car, memories flooding back. the crash that supposedly wiped out half our inheritance, Dad insisting on handling all the paperwork himself, Kingsley's sudden ability to put a down payment on his condo. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because," Haley's voice cracked, "he's doing it again. He's been using your name as a guarantor on loans. I saw the paperwork on his desk last week." The next morning, I sat in Harmony's law office, spreading documents across her desk. My friend's usual smile was replaced with a grim determination as she examined the papers Haley had secretly photographed. "This is fraud," Harmony said flatly. "Clear and deliberate fraud. And your father had to know. He was the executor." My phone buzzed again. Another text from my mother. "You're killing your father. He hasn't slept since dinner. Please call us." I turned the phone face down. "I need copies of everything," I told Harmony. "Bank statements, transfer records, anything from that time period. Already on it." She typed rapidly on her computer. "But Isabel, there's more. I ran a preliminary check. Kingsley has defaulted on 3 personal loans in the past year, all with your name listed as a reference or implied guarantor." "What does that mean?" "It means when these loans go into collection, they might come after you. He's been playing a dangerous game with your identity." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Kingsley. "You better answer Mom's texts. You're being ridiculous." "Can we stop them?" I asked Harmony. "We can do better than that." She smiled grimly. "We can make them pay for it." The next few days passed in a blur of legal documents and financial forensics. Every rock we turned over revealed another snake. Forged signatures, doctored bank statements, a trail of financial manipulation that made my spreadsheet look like child's play. My parents' messages grew increasingly desperate. "Please call us. We can explain everything. Your brother is devastated. How could you do this to your family? We raised you better than this." I forwarded each one to Harmony without reading them twice. On Friday, a thick envelope arrived from the bank. Inside were copies of every transaction from the joint inheritance account. And there it was, in black and white. A series of transfers authorized by a signature that looked like mine, but wasn't. Each one dated during the weeks I was in Seattle for a work conference. "Got you," I whispered. My phone rang. Harmony. "Check your email," she said without preamble. I found something big. The email contained loan applications. 5 of them. All with my name listed as a guarantor. All with forged employment verifications. All defaulted. "How bad?" I asked. "Combined, about 80,000 in potential liability." I closed my eyes. "Can they come after me for it?" "They can try, but I've already started the fraud paperwork. We'll shut this down before it gets that far." Another text buzzed through. "Daddy's talking about coming to your apartment. Please just talk to us." "Harmony," I said, my voice steady. "How quickly can we move on this? Give me 2 days to file everything, then we can—" A heavy knock at my door cut her off. Then another. Then my father's voice, loud and angry. "Isabel, open this door right now." "He's here," I whispered into the phone. "Record everything," Harmony said quickly. "Don't open the door, just record." I pulled up my phone's voice recorder as the pounding continued. "Isabel, you're tearing this family apart. After everything we've done for you, everything we sacrificed. Open this door." I pressed record and moved closer to the door, my heart hammering, but my voice clear. "Dad, please leave. I don't want to talk right now." "The hell you don't?" His voice rose higher. "You think you can just walk away after all we've given you? Given me?" The word hit like a slap. I thought of the inheritance, the loans, the years of manipulation. "You've got 5 seconds to leave," I called out, "or I'm calling the police." His laugh was ugly. "Go ahead. Call them. Let's tell them all about Kingsley's little slip-up with that inheritance paperwork. Nothing jail-worthy, right? Just family helping family." Behind me, Harmony's voice came sharp through the phone. "Got it. We got him." And in that moment, standing in my darkened apartment listening to my father rage, I realized sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do. It's letting people destroy themselves. "You're really doing this?" Ray asked, walking me through the Portuguese farmhouse via video call. "Because once I submit these final papers, there's no turning back." I watched through my phone screen as he panned across weathered wooden beams and whitewashed walls. Morning sunlight streamed through ancient windows, casting warm rectangles on the stone floor. "I'm doing this," I confirmed, ignoring another incoming call from my mother. "How soon can I move in?" "Property closes in 3 weeks. We can have it ready by—" My doorbell rang, interrupting him. Through the peephole, I saw my mother holding a photo album. "Just a minute, Ray." I muted myself and called through the door. "Mum, I told you not to come here." "I brought pictures," she said, her voice wobbling. "From your 5th birthday. Remember the pony we rented? You were so happy." The memory hit hard. Not of the pony, but of what came after. How they'd made me let Kingsley ride it first, because I was the responsible one who could wait her turn. How he'd used up most of the rental time showing off for the other kids. "Go home, Mum. Please, sweetie. Just look at the pictures. Remember how good things used to be." I unmuted my phone. "Ray, let's finish this later." After ending the call, I pulled up my email and clicked send on a message I'd drafted days ago. "Dear family, this email serves as formal notice of my withdrawal from all shared financial obligations, including joint checking account closure, removal from family cell phone plan, cancellation of shared credit card accounts, withdrawal from holiday home timeshare, termination of all automatic transfers. Please direct any future financial communications to my lawyer." My phone immediately lit up with text notifications. "Mum, what are you doing?" "Kingsley, real mature, sis." "Dad, call your mother right now." I blocked each number methodically, then opened my laptop to continue what I'd started that morning, listing my apartment, submitting my resignation letter, and finalising arrangements with Ray for the farm transition. A new email popped up from Harmony. "Court date set for next month. You sure about this?" "Completely," I typed back. Time to rip off the Band-Aid. My gaze fell on my therapy bills, still unpaid from last year because Kingsley had needed help with his car payments. Next to them sat a stack of birthday cards, all from friends I'd gradually lost touch with because family obligations always came first. The doorbell rang again. "Isabel." It was Haley. "Can I come in? Please, it's important." I opened the door cautiously. Haley rushed in, clutching her phone. "Look what Kingsley just posted," she said, showing me his Instagram story. There I was, photographed through my apartment window, working at my desk. The caption read, "When the snake in your family shows their true colours, blood means nothing to some people. Blir era backstabber känns Sarah is toxic family." "He's been watching me." "He's drunk," Haley said. "He's been at the bar since noon, ranting about inheritance and betrayal. I think he might do something stupid." "Like what?" Her phone buzzed with a new notification. We both looked down at Kingsley's latest post. A photo of old family documents spread across a bar top. "I've got receipts too, sis. 2 can play this game. Hope you're ready for war." I called Harmony immediately. "He's threatening to expose something," I said when she answered. "But what could he possibly have?" "Nothing that would hold up legally," she assured me. "We have proof of his fraud. He's just trying to scare you." "It's working," I admitted. "Then maybe it's time for the nuclear option," Harmony said quietly. "Remember that family gathering we discussed?" I looked at the calendar on my wall. 2 weeks until my flight to Portugal. Just enough time for one last showdown. "Do it," I said. "Send the invitations." After hanging up, I turned to Haley, who was still scrolling through Kingsley's increasingly unhinged posts. "You should go," I told her. "You don't want to be involved in what happens next." She looked up, eyes wide. "What are you going to do?" I walked to my window, looking down at the street where Kingsley had clearly been standing to take his photo. A decade of swallowed words and buried resentment rose in my throat like bile. "I'm going to give them exactly what they want," I said. "One last family dinner, one last chance to talk everything out." "Why do I feel like this dinner isn't going to be about reconciliation?" I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Because sometimes the only way to end a story is to burn the whole book. My phone lit up with a calendar invite from Harmony. "Family farewell dinner, next Saturday, 7 p.m. Game on. The hallway security camera blinked its red light steadily as my father paced outside my apartment door. I stood inside, phone recording in one hand, Harmony on speaker in the other. "Open this door, Isabel." His voice carried through the wood. "We need to talk about what you're doing to this family." "Keep him talking," Harmony whispered through the phone. "The more he says, the better." "I'm not opening the door," I called out. "Say whatever you need to say from there." "Your mother can't sleep. She's making herself sick over this." He slammed his palm against the door. "Is that what you wanted? To hurt her? Like you hurt me?" My voice was steady. "Like when you helped Kingsley steal my inheritance? That was a family decision. We needed that money for what, Dad? For Kingsley's condo? For Mum's shopping? For your golf membership?" The hallway fell silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Softer, almost pleading. "Princess, please, we can fix this. Whatever you think happened with the inheritance, we can explain." "Princess?" I laughed. "You haven't called me that since I was 12, since before Kingsley needed braces and you used my college fund to pay for them." "We paid that back." "No, you didn't. Just like you never paid back the loans for Mum's first facelift, or Kingsley's failed restaurant, or—" "You ungrateful little bitch!" The mask slipped, his voice rising to a roar. "After everything we sacrificed for you." "The only one who sacrificed anything was me," I said clearly, making sure the recording picked up every word. "And I'm done." "Done?" He laughed, ugly and sharp. "You think you can just walk away? What about the loans Kingsley took out? The ones with your name on them? You think those just disappear?" Harmony's breath caught audibly. "Got it," she whispered. "He just admitted knowledge of fraud." "What loans, Dad?" I pressed. "The ones Kingsley forged my signature on? It wasn't forgery. It was just paperwork. Nothing jail-worthy. We're family. Families help each other." "Help each other steal? Help each other lie? You want to talk about lying?" His voice turned vicious. "How about we talk about that farm you bought? Using family money while pretending to be broke. You've been planning this betrayal for months." "My money," I corrected him. "Every penny earned while you and Mom lived in that house I helped pay for. While Kingsley drove the car I helped finance. We gave you everything." "No," I said quietly. "You took everything, and now I'm taking it back." He kicked the door hard enough to make the frame rattle. "You open this door right now, or I swear to God—" "Or what?" I cut him off. "You'll call the police? Let's do that. Let's tell them about the forged signatures, the fraudulent loans, the stolen inheritance. Should I call them now?" The silence that followed was deafening. "You wouldn't," he finally said, but his voice wavered. "We're your parents." "Not anymore." I pressed my palm flat against the door. "Go home, Dad. Tell Mum and Kingsley to be ready for Saturday's dinner. One last family meeting, then we're done." "What's happening Saturday?" "Justice," I said simply. "Now leave, or I really will call the police." I heard him breathing heavily on the other side of the door, then footsteps growing fainter down the hallway. "Holy shit," Harmony exhaled. "That was intense. But we got exactly what we needed. His admission about the loans alone—" "We'll destroy them," I finished. "I know. Are you okay?" I looked around my apartment, at the packed boxes, the empty walls, the life I was dismantling piece by piece. "No," I admitted. "But I will be. What about Saturday? Are you sure you want to go through with it?" I walked to my window, watching my father's car pull out of the parking lot. His headlights cut through the darkness like accusatory eyes. "They wanted a family meeting," I said. "They'll get one, just not the kind they're expecting." "Isabel, 10 years, Harmony. 10 years of manipulation, theft and lies. They don't get to walk away from that." My phone buzzed with a text from Kingsley. "Dad's pretty upset. Hope you're happy with yourself. See you Saturday, Snake." I smiled at the message, thinking of the documents waiting in Harmony's office, the proof, the recordings, the final act of this family drama ready to unfold. "Saturday," I confirmed. "Time to show them what real family loyalty looks like." The private dining room at La Maison buzzed with conversation as my extended family settled in. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all summoned by my mother's urgent call about reconciling our differences. If only they knew. I arrived exactly on time, rolling in a small suitcase. My mother's eyes locked onto it immediately. "Darling," she rushed forward, arms open. "We've all been so worried." "Let's sit," I interrupted, stepping past her embrace. "I brought visual aids for tonight's discussion." Kingsley snorted from his seat. "Always the teacher's pet." I began unpacking my suitcase methodically. Folders, a laptop, a projector. Harmony sat quietly in the corner, her legal pad ready. "What's she doing here?" my father demanded, pointing at Harmony. "Taking minutes," I said calmly. "This is a family meeting after all." My mother's practiced smile faltered. "Isabel, surely we don't need a lawyer for—" "First," I cut in, connecting the projector, "let's talk about inheritance fraud." The room went silent. My Aunt Patricia stopped mid-sip of her wine. "Now, really," my father started. But I clicked to the first slide. Bank statements showing the systematic draining of my inheritance account. "These transfers," I pointed, "were made while I was in Seattle. Interesting, since they have my signature. Would anyone like to explain how I signed documents while I was 3,000 miles away?" Kingsley's face had gone pale. My father shifted in his seat. "Next slide," I continued. "Loan applications. My name as guarantor. My signature. Forged again. The banks are very interested in these, by the way." "You're making a scene," my mother hissed. "Oh, I'm just getting started." I clicked through more slides. Credit card statements, bounce checks, a decade of financial abuse laid bare in PowerPoint format. "Jesus Christ," my cousin Michael whispered. "And this," I pulled out a USB drive, "is my favourite part. Security footage from my apartment building. Dad, would you like to explain your visit last week? The one where you admitted to helping Kingsley commit fraud?" My father stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. "You recorded me? Like you photographed me through my window?" I turned to Kingsley. "Nice Instagram posts, by the way. The police found those interesting too." "You called the police?" My mother's voice rose to a shriek. "No." Harmony spoke up. "The police called us. Apparently, multiple banks flagged suspicious activity. They're very interested in speaking with everyone involved." Kingsley lunged across the table, reaching for the USB drive. His sleeve caught a wine glass, sending red liquid cascading across the white tablecloth. "Give me that," he snarled. I stepped back, watching the stains spread. "It's too late. Copies have already been filed." "Filed?" My mother's makeup was starting to run. "Filed where?" "Everywhere," I said simply. "Courts, banks, credit agencies, the police department's fraud division. Oh, and one copy went to that country club you're so desperate to join. They have a very strict policy about accepting members with fraud investigations pending." "You're destroying this family," my father roared. "No," I corrected him. "You did that. Every time you chose Kingsley over me, every time you stole from me, every time you treated me like an ATM instead of a daughter." I clicked to the final slide, my new farm in Portugal. "This is where I'm going, next week, forever." "You can't," my mother sobbed. "We need you." "No, you needed my money. There's a difference." I unplugged the projector and turned to address the stunned faces of my extended family. "Everything I've shown you is documented. Everything is proven. If anyone contacts me after tonight, except through my lawyer, those documents become public. If anyone tries to access my accounts or use my name again, they go to jail." "You'd send your own brother to prison?" Kingsley's voice cracked. "You sent yourself there," I replied. "I'm just making sure you face the consequences." I packed up my equipment, while they sat in shocked silence. Harmony stood, gathering her notes. "One last thing," I said, reaching into my bag. "Mum, remember those family photos you brought to my apartment? The ones meant to guilt me into staying?" I pulled out a stack of photographs and dropped them on the wine-stained tablecloth. "Keep them. I got better memories to make." As I walked out, I heard my mother collapse into tears, my father cursing, and Kingsley calling me every name he could think of. But for the first time in my life, their voices didn't have any power over me. In the parking lot, Harmony caught up with me. "You okay?" I looked back at the restaurant, at the life I was leaving behind, and felt nothing but relief. "I'm free," I said. "Finally, I'm free." The plane lifted off American soil, and I watched my old life disappear beneath the clouds. Somewhere down there, my family was imploding. My phone had been flooded with messages before I turned it off. The police came to the house. How could you do this to your brother? We're getting a lawyer. You've ruined everything. 7 hours later, I landed in Portugal. Ray was waiting at the arrivals gate, his weathered face breaking into a warm smile. Ready to see your new home? The drive to the farm wound through hills dotted with olive trees and ancient stone walls. My chest loosened with each mile we put between me and the airport. The goats arrived yesterday, Ray said, turning onto a dirt road. And Maria from the village already dropped off welcome bread. Everyone's excited to meet the new farmer. We crested a hill, and there it was, my sanctuary. Whitewashed walls gleaming in the afternoon sun, red tile roof, green fields stretching to the horizon. A few goats grazed lazily in the nearest pasture. It's real, I whispered. It's actually real. As real as it gets, Ray chuckled. Though you might want to check your phone. Your lawyer's been trying to reach you. I turned my phone back on. Amid the barrage of family messages, there were 3 from Harmony. Call me ASAP. Your mother's on the local news. They're telling their side of the story. It's not pretty. Major Podcast wants your version. Interested? A text from Haley popped up. They're investigating Kingsley for fraud. Your dad too. It's all over social media. I walked to the fence where a black and white goat was watching me curiously. It stretched its neck toward my hand, sniffing. What do you think? I asked it. Should I tell my side? The goat bleated and head-butted my palm gently. I'll take that as a yes. I called Harmony while Ray unloaded my bags. Finally, she answered. Have you seen the interviews? Just landed. How bad is it? Your mother's playing the devastated parent angle. Our daughter abandoned us in our time of need. Your father's not speaking publicly, but Kingsley, well, he's painting quite the picture. Let me guess. Poor misunderstood brother, evil sister? Something like that. But here's the thing. The fraud investigation is gaining traction. 3 other families have come forward with similar stories about Kingsley's investment schemes. I watched the goat wander back to its herd. And Dad? The family lawyer's talking. Apparently, your father pressured him into processing those forged documents. He's cooperating with investigators to save himself. A warm breeze carried the scent of lavender from somewhere nearby. My lavender now. What's this about, a podcast? True crime series. They want to do an episode about financial abuse in families. Your story's perfect, especially with the paper trail you kept. I thought about all the people out there living what I'd lived through, drowning in family obligation, buried under guilt and manipulation. Okay, I said. Set it up. You sure? Once you tell your story publicly, then maybe someone else will find the strength to tell theirs. After hanging up, I helped Ray carry my bags inside. The house was cool and quiet, sunlight streaming through windows that overlooked the valley. My furniture wouldn't arrive for another week, but I had a bed, a table and a kettle for tea. It was enough. Maria left herbs too, Ray said, pointing to bundles hanging from the kitchen beams. And there's cheese in the fridge. Real farmer food. Real farmer, I repeated, testing how it felt. Better than dutiful daughter ever had. That evening, I sat on my front step watching the sunset paint the hills gold. My phone buzzed with an email from the podcast producer, but I wasn't ready to read it yet. Instead, I scrolled through my photos from the last family dinner, stopping on one of Kingsley's face when I revealed the fraud evidence. A goat wandered over, eyeing the paper I was holding, a printout of Kingsley's Instagram rant about backstabbing sisters. Hungry? I asked, holding it out. The goat snatched the paper and chomped happily, reducing my brother's words to mulch. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. The sound echoed across my land, free and wild and entirely my own. My phone buzzed again. A text from Harmony. Your mother's giving another interview tomorrow. Sure you don't want to watch? No, I typed back. I'm busy learning to make goat cheese. I turned my phone off and went inside to make tea with my new herbs. Tomorrow I'd start learning how to be a farmer. Tomorrow I'd begin telling my story. But tonight I'd just breathe. The morning sun streamed through my kitchen window as I pressed the last batch of goat cheese, the podcast playing in my earbuds. My own voice filled my ears. Financial abuse doesn't always look like stolen credit cards or emptied bank accounts. Sometimes it looks like family. Sometimes it wears the mask of love. The episode had gone viral overnight. My inbox was flooded with messages from people sharing similar stories, thanking me for giving them courage. My phone rang. Harmony. "Have you seen the news?" she asked without preamble. "I've been making cheese." "Kingsley took a plea deal, 2 years plus restitution. Your father's next." I set down the cheese press. "And Mum?" "Living in a rental condo. She's still doing interviews, but nobody's buying the Victim Act anymore. Not since the bank records went public." A knock at my door interrupted us. Maria from the village stood there, holding a newspaper. The headline was in Portuguese, but I'd learned enough to read it. "American financial fraud family faces justice." "Your brother?" Maria said in careful English. "He is going to prison?" I nodded. She pressed the paper into my hands along with a jar of honey. "Good. Family should not steal from family." After she left, I returned to my call with Harmony. "Any word from their country club?" "Membership denied. Very publicly. Your mother's social circle has contracted significantly." "And the retirement villa?" "Auctioned last week. Barely covered their legal fees." I walked outside, watching my goats graze in the morning light. One of them, the one I'd named Justice, was attempting to headbutt a butterfly. "They're posting about you again," Harmony continued. "On social media. Want me to send screenshots?" "No need." I sat on my front step. "I'm done reading their stories. I'm writing my own now." "Speaking of writing, that book deal offer came through. They want your story, Isabel. All of it." A message notification popped up on my phone. From Haley. "Kingsley's being sentenced tomorrow. He asked if you'd speak on his behalf." "Tell him no," I replied. "He can face his consequences alone." Another message arrived. From my mother. "Please, we're still family." I thought about family as I watched my goats, about how I'd found more genuine connection with my small village in a few months than I had in years of forced family dinners, about how Maria brought me bread and honey without expecting anything in return, about how Ray's children helped me plant my garden, laughing and teaching me Portuguese. "Harmony," I said. "Remember how they always said I was boring? Just working and saving? Yeah? Look at my view right now." I sent her a photo of the sun-drenched hills. "Pretty exciting for a boring person, right?" She laughed. "You showed them all right." "No," I corrected her. "I showed myself." I ended the call and walked to my garden, where tomatoes were finally ripening on the vine. My phone buzzed again. Another family message begging for help, for money, for one more chance. I deleted it without reading it. Inside, I pulled up my banking app. The restitution payments from Kingsley had started arriving. I transferred the first one directly to a local women's shelter. The next would go to a financial literacy program. After that, maybe a scholarship fund. My father's sentencing was next week. My mother's social media was full of pleas for support, emotional and financial. Their carefully constructed world of appearances had crumbled, leaving only truth behind. But here, on my hillside, truth was all I needed. I picked a ripe tomato and bit into it, juice running down my chin. In the distance, church bells rang in the village. Maria's grandchildren waved as they walked past my gate, heading to school. My phone lit up one last time. Harmony again. "Final question," she said. "The book publishers want to know your title." I looked around at my new life. The goats, the garden, the peace I'd fought so hard to find. "Call it planting season," I said. "Because that's what this is. Not an ending, a beginning." "Perfect," she replied. "Oh, and Isabel, I'm proud of you." I smiled, watching Justice the goat chase her butterfly. "You know what? I'm proud of me too." After hanging up, I walked to my garden and picked more tomatoes. Tonight, I'd make sauce with Maria's recipe. Tomorrow, I'd learn to make goat milk soap. The day after that? Who knew? For the first time in my life, I wasn't building something for someone else. I wasn't living by anyone else's rules or expectations. I was finally, completely home, and that was worth everything.